You saved up for it. You researched it. You walked out of that gun store proud, and you put it in your safe, believing it was a smart purchase. And now, in 2026, that same firearm is sitting on used market shelves for less than a cheap smartphone, and gun store employees are turning it down at the trade-in counter. This is not a hypothetical. It is happening right now to thousands of gun owners across America, and most of them never saw it coming. Today, we are covering 10 specific firearms that have become functionally worthless in 2026, either because the company behind them collapsed, because a newer platform made them irrelevant overnight, or because their reliability record finally caught up with their reputation. Every entry on this list is verified. Every reason is real. If any of these guns are sitting in your safe right now, you need to watch every single second of this video. Number 10, Hi-Point C9. The Hi-Point C9 was always the gun that budget-conscious buyers grabbed when nothing else was within reach. At $150 new, it was never a premium firearm, but it worked reliably enough to maintain a loyal following for years. In 2026, that argument is completely dead. The used market for the C9 has collapsed to between $60 and $80, meaning owners who paid full price are losing more than half their investment the moment they try to sell. The reason is simple. Budget-friendly 9mm pistols with optics-ready slides, better triggers, and genuine reliability now start at $299 from brands like Taurus and Ruger. The C9 cannot compete on ergonomics, capacity, aftermarket support, or resale value. It weighs 29 ounces for an 8-round pistol with a trigger pull that feels like dragging concrete. There is nothing this gun does in 2026 that a better option cannot do for $50 more. The C9 was never a great gun. In 2026, it is simply a paperweight with a barrel. Current resale value, $60 to $80. Original retail, $150 to $175. Verdict, a budget pistol that lost its only argument the moment competition caught up, now worth less than a tank of gas. Number 9, SCCY CPX2. This one is not about value dropping. This is about a company that no longer exists. SCCY Industries, the Daytona, Florida-based manufacturer of the CP series, shut down operations completely in May 2025 due to unpaid taxes and mounting financial and legal pressure. The factory is closed, the website is dark. The warranty that every CPX owner was relying on is now completely void. If your CPX2 breaks today, and it eventually will because the Gen 3 had documented reliability issues serious enough to sink the brand, there is nobody to call. Parts availability is already drying up. Gunsmith support for the platform is disappearing as shops refuse to stock components for a dead manufacturer. The resale value on the CPX2 has dropped below $100 on most used markets, and gun stores are refusing trade-ins entirely because they cannot move them. Owning an SCCY CPX2 in 2026 means owning a carry pistol with a dead warranty, dwindling parts supply, and zero manufacturer support for whatever comes next. Current resale value, under $100. Original retail, $249 to $299. Verdict, the most complete firearms investment collapse of 2025 to 2026. A gun whose value died the same day its manufacturer did. Number 8, Taurus PT111 Millennium G2. The P111 G2 was once the most popular budget 9mm in America. At its peak, it was selling for $250 new and holding used values around $180 to $200 because demand never dropped. That era is over. In 2026, used PT111G2 pistols are trading between $130 and $145, and many gun stores will not take them at any price because the counter is already flooded with them. The reason is purely market displacement. Taurus itself replaced the G2 with the G2C and then the G3, both of which deliver significantly better triggers, better ergonomics, and better reliability at prices that make the old G2 look obsolete by comparison. Buyers shopping the used market today skip the PT111G2 entirely and spend $20 more for a G2C that feels like a different generation of engineering. The P111G2 was a good gun for its time. Its time ended 3 product generations ago. Current resale value, $130 to $145. Original retail, $230 to $250. Verdict: replaced by its own manufacturer twice, leaving owners holding a gun that the market has completely moved past. Number 7. Remington 870 Express. This one is going to upset some people, and that reaction is exactly why so many 870 Express owners got burned. The 870 Wingmaster is a legend and deserves every bit of its reputation. The 870 Express is a different story. The cost-cutting era that ran from roughly 2006 through 2018 produced express models with rough chambers that caused ejection failures, cheap metal finishes that rusted faster than any premium shotgun should, and inconsistent quality control that made every purchase a gamble. Post-bankruptcy, Remington under Rem Arms has improved production, but the used market is still flooded with mid-era express models that carry all the old problems. Dealers report that 870 express trade-ins from that era are nearly impossible to move at any reasonable price. Used examples in average condition are selling for $175 to $250, when a Mossberg 500 in better condition moves for $300. The name Remington 87 still means something. The words express from the bad era means something very different. Current resale value, $175 to $250 for mid-era examples. Original retail, $400 to $450. Verdict: a legendary platform dragged down by a decade of bad production decisions, now losing the trade-in battle to guns that cost less and rust slower. Number 6. Kel-Tec Sub-2000 Gen 2. The Sub-2000 Gen 2 had a genuine cult following built on one specific appeal: a folding 9mm carbine that accepted Glock magazines and cost around $500. That value proposition made sense when there was nothing else like it. The Gen 3 arrived and addressed nearly every complaint the Gen 2 ever generated, with a better folding mechanism, a more comfortable stock, and improved ergonomics throughout. The moment the Gen 3 hit shelves, Gen 2 values fell off a cliff. Used Gen 2 examples that were holding at $400 to $450 dropped to $280 to $320 almost overnight. Gun stores report that Gen 2 trade-ins are difficult to price because buyers shopping in person immediately ask whether the Gen 3 is available and walk past the Gen 2 entirely. Owning a Gen 2 in 2026 means owning the version of a product whose manufacturer publicly acknowledged needed significant improvement. In a crowded PCC market with growing competition, the Gen 2 simply has no compelling argument left. Current resale value, $280 to $320. Original retail, $475 to $500. Verdict: made obsolete by its own successor, a victim of a manufacturer who improved the product so significantly that the old version became an embarrassment. Number 5. Springfield Armory XDM Elite. The XDM Elite launched with strong marketing and a premium price point that positioned it directly against the SIG P320 and the Walther PDP. The problem is that it cannot back up that positioning on the range or in the hands of serious shooters. The grip safety, which Springfield carried over from the original XD despite widespread criticism, remained a polarizing feature that competitors simply do not have. The trigger, while improved, still trails the PDP and the P320 in feel and reset quality. In 2026, the used market for XDM Elite pistols has dropped to $380 to $440, well below its $599 to $699 original retail because buyers at that price point have better options and they know it. Gun store staff report that XDM Elite sit longer than comparable Glock, SIG, and Walther trade-ins. The XD platform served Springfield well for years. The Elite label promised a premium it could not fully deliver. Current resale value, $380 to $440. Original retail, $599 to $699. Verdict, priced like a premium gun, performing like a mid-tier one, and losing ground every quarter to competitors who earn their price tags. Number 4, Savage Axis. The Savage Axis was the entry-level bolt-action rifle that sold on one promise above everything else: budget accuracy. At $350 to $400 new, it was delivered. The problem in 2026 is that the budget bolt-action market has become extraordinarily competitive, and the Axis is losing that fight badly. Mossberg Patriot, Ruger American, and even the new Weatherby Vanguard entry models all deliver comparable accuracy at similar price points with better triggers, better fit and finish, and better aftermarket ecosystems. The used Axis market has fallen to $175 to $225, making it nearly impossible for owners to recoup even half their investment. Gun stores report that Axis trade-ins move slowly because buyers spending $200 used gun would rather spend $50 more for a Ruger American that comes with a better trigger out of the box. The Axis is not a bad rifle. In 2026, it will be surrounded by better rifles at the same price, and the market has made its decision clearly. Current resale value, $175 to $225. Original retail, $350 to $400. Verdict, an honest budget rifle that got outcompeted from every direction simultaneously, losing the only advantage it ever had. Number 3, Taurus Judge. The Taurus Judge was one of the most clever marketing successes in modern firearms history. A revolver that fires both .45 Colt and .410 shot shell, sold as the ultimate home defense and snake gun at a price that made it accessible to almost every buyer. The problem is that the ballistic reality of a .410 shot shell fired from a 3-inch revolver barrel never matched the marketing. Independent testing consistently showed that .410 buckshot from the Judge produced patterns so wide and energy so degraded at defensive distances that it could not match the terminal performance of a standard defensive .45 Colt load from the same gun. As that testing data spread through the shooting community, the Judge's reputation collapsed alongside its resale values. Used Judges in 2026 are trading between $250 and $320, well below their $499 to $549 original retail. And gun stores report that buyers specifically ask to avoid them after watching ballistic gel videos online. The idea of the Judge was always better than the reality. Current resale value, $250 to $320. Original retail, $499 to $549. Verdict, a marketing concept that real-world ballistics testing finally exposed, now sitting on used shelves waiting for buyers who have not done their research. Number 2, Glock 43. This one requires honesty because the Glock 43 is not a bad gun. It is a Glock. It functions flawlessly, it is reliable, and it carries the full weight of Glock's reputation behind it. The problem is that Glock itself replaced it in every meaningful way with the 43X and the 48, which deliver a longer grip, a 10-round capacity, and a Shield Arms magazine upgrade path that takes the 43X to 15 rounds in the same slim footprint. The single-stack 6-round G43 went from a carry essential to a capacity-limited legacy model almost overnight. Used G43 prices have dropped to $330 to $380 in most markets, and buyers choosing between a used G43 and a used G43X at a $40 to $60 price difference consistently choose the 43X. Glock still manufactures the 43, but every informed buyer knows there is a better Glock at nearly the same price, and the market reflects that knowledge precisely. Current resale value, $330 to $380. Original retail, $499 to $529. Verdict, made obsolete by its own manufacturer's superior follow-up products, a great gun that Glock itself quietly retired in the minds of every informed buyer. Number 1. Remington R51. There is losing value, and then there is what happened to the Remington R51. When it launched, the R51 was marketed as a reimagined version of the classic Model 51, a slim, lightweight 9mm carry pistol with a unique hesitation-locked action. What actually shipped to buyers and reviewers was a firearm that failed so comprehensively, so consistently, and so publicly that Remington issued a full recall within months of launch. Out of battery detonations, failures to feed on every other magazine, loose sights, actions that would not cycle with standard pressure ammunition. Remington recalled the entire first production run, relaunched a corrected version, and still could not restore buyer confidence. In 2026, R51 pistols from either generation sell for $180 to $250 on used markets. Gun stores will not accept them as trade-ins. Independent reviews from 2026 document malfunction rates that no carry gun owner should accept. The R51 is the single most complete reputational collapse in recent American firearms history, a gun that failed its owners before they ever needed it. Current resale value: $180 to $250. Original retail: $399 to $449. Verdict: the worst product launch in modern American firearms history, a carry gun that demonstrated it could not be trusted before the first owners ever put it in a holster. These 10 firearms represent exactly what happens when a gun fails its owners in the one moment that matters most, whether that failure is mechanical, financial, or simply the result of a market that moved on and left them behind. The lesson here is not complicated. Research before you buy. Check resale trends before you invest, and understand that in 2026, the firearms market moves faster than it ever has, meaning a gun that looks like a smart purchase today can look very different in 18 months. If you own any of the guns on this list, drop a comment right now and tell us what your experience has been. Have you tried to sell one? Has a gun store turned you away? The community in the comments section learns more from your real-world experience than from any spec sheet. Hit that like button, subscribe for more content that tells you the truth the gun industry would rather you did not hear, and we will see you in the next one.